Global TV and Radio, and to Ricki's Kitchen. We are the United Kitchens, and I am Ricki. And it's good to see you or have you hear me here. I know we've got people listening on radio as well as watching on TV and on YouTube, and wherever you are, welcome. Glad to see you. And since we've had such hot weather, not only here in Houston where I'm based, but all around the globe, today we're going to do two cool salads for the hot weather. And these are great salads for either a luncheon or an accompaniment or dinner, or just sitting around and enjoying a friendly drink with your friends and family and so on. So we're going to get started. And the first thing we're going to do is something called a spinach and mint orange salad. Excuse me, spinach and orange. And then we're going to do a mint and cucumber salad. So we have a little bit of different salads. We have our greens. And yesterday, actually, we combined a few other things. So we're going to make it interesting. But basically, we start, of course, with spinach. And I wanted to show you something. Nutritionally, spinach is a wonderful green. And very often we buy, especially in the United States, in these plastic containers. And when you open them up, you'll usually find, especially if you've had them in your refrigerator, there's condensation on the top. So to prevent the condensation from wilting everything, the spinach, much faster than it really needs to go, take a paper towel and just place it right on top of your spinach and keep it there, and it will absorb all that moisture so it doesn't go through and wilt your spinach too quickly. So meantime, I'm going to take a handful of spinach and put it on a plate, because that's what we're going to use. Let me get another plate. And I can show you how it actually looks finished. It's just beautiful. It's spinach, and we're going to make the goodies to go on top. But I'm going to take the spinach first, and we've got large leaves in here, so I'm going to rip them up by hand, not chop them up, but rip them up, and make them a little more bite-sized, a little more convenient to eat, so you don't find people stuffing the spinach into their faces. It makes it a lot easier. So I'm just going to take the spinach and do that now into bite-sized pieces. And for those of you who have been here before, welcome again. And for those of you who are new to USA Global TV and Radio, there are lots of channels and lots of different shows that you can watch and listen to and learn from. Yeah, there's even one on listening. So there we go. That should be enough to make it edible without people having it all over their faces. So we'll have that ready. And to make our little salsa that goes with it, the orange part, first we're going to take 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And we'll just get a bowl out here and pour our olive oil in. And this recipe actually called for dried marjoram, but sometimes, as it happens, that's missing in the pantry. So rather than the margarine, I'm going to use a little bit of freshly dried oregano. This comes out of my garden. Actually, I have a little piece of fresh oregano right here that I'm going to chop up. And the best way to get your little leaves off for your herbs is to start at the top and grab a spot that you can hold on to and just bring your fingers together and push it off. Okay, so we'll take the rest of the leaves off the top, and we're going to chop those up because we need about a tablespoon of the fresh herbs. And to that, I'm going to add the oregano and a little bit of sage, which will give it kind of a, not really a smoky flavor, but just a little bit different. And I'm going to add a teeny bit of the dried oregano as well, because we need only about half a teaspoon, but since we're using fresh, we'll use that. So you can substitute a different herb if there's something that you don't like, or if you don't happen to have it on hand. So there we go. There's our half a teaspoon. And we'll put that in the bowl with the olive oil. And next in the mix, we have, this is the fun part, radishes. This combines the radishes, the mixture with nutmeg and black pepper as well. But as far as the fruits that go on top of the, and vegetables that go on top of your spinach, we'll have radishes and oranges. And so I'm going to take my radishes. I'm going to use 2 of the big ones. I just wanted to show you something, how I store them to keep them nice and bright and fresh. Take filtered water, take a glass container, and cover your radishes in water, and that's how you put them in the refrigerator, and they stay beautifully. If you have to, you can dry them off a little bit when you get them out. That's fine. And then we're just going to chop those up into little bite-sized pieces to go on in the salad with everything else. They've already been cleaned, and so I'm going to cut them into little bite-sized pieces. You can dice them or just make them a little bit bigger depending on how you want to do it. And we'll add that to the bowl. Here we go. I'm going to put it here so you can see it. And we've got a wild radish that's already trying to blend itself with the spinach. We'll just leave it there. Okay. Because we are going to put some more spices in there. So I've cut up my big radishes. And another way to consume radishes, which are really very good for you, I have a French son-in-law, and one of the things that he showed me one time years ago was you take your radishes and you can cut them in half or eat them whole, but put butter on them, fresh butter and salt and pepper, and oh my goodness, they are delicious, just to munch. They're a lovely little appetizer. Okay, well, we've got wild radishes this morning. Okay, so I have my olive oil and my radishes, and we put in the oregano, the fresh oregano, and a little bit of dried oregano. And now I'm going to take, instead of oranges, I have these little tiny oranges. They're like cuties or mandarin oranges or little tangerines. It's up to you. You can take your choice. You can peel them apart, or you can just do them in half and cut them up into bite-sized pieces. We have a live fruit this morning. It just jumped off the table. Okay. And we're just going to cut those up into bite-sized pieces because the addition of a citrus fruit into something like this makes the dressing absolutely delicious and really, truly cool and refreshing. These have been in the refrigerator. And if you're making something like this with an orange, you probably would only need 1, but these are a little bit smaller, so I'm going to use 2. And also, there we go. You could probably do this with grapefruit if you wanted to use that rather than the orange, but we happen to like oranges in this family, so we're going to use that. And actually just cutting up the orange the same as I would anything else. You can peel it into sections and do it that way, whatever works for you. And I'm going to mix all this together. Oh, yummy. It even smells good. Alrighty, and then we're going to add a green onion, the tops and the whites. And I'm going to just dry off the table a little bit from the orange juice. There we go. So things don't slip. There we go. And so I'm going to chop up my scallion or green onion and add that to the mix. You can chop it up fine, or you can make it big chunky pieces, whatever you like. Because I call this intuitive or interpretive cooking, so you take the recipe and do what you want with it. And so I'm going to chop it up into little tiny bite-sized pieces. And it's going to give our salad a little zing. Okay, so you can see how quickly this is done. If you're working and you get home from work and you want to fix up a a delicious little refreshing, cool salad, here's your way to do it. So I've got all these beautiful things in here. We've got the little mandarin oranges. We've got radishes, green onions, and fresh oregano and a little bit of dried oregano. And now we will do a little bit of salt and pepper. Not a lot. Maybe, let's see what I've got here. Probably about, oops, that's too much. Not quite half a teaspoon. Just a little. And some fresh pepper. And if you like, you can use already ground pepper. I happen to like to do my own grinding, and this is quite fine. So I'm putting in a little more. There we go. And mix that all together. And you can see how pretty it is. All the colors mixed together. So we've got the greens of the spinach. And if you wanted to, you could use a different green as your basis. You could use mustard greens. You could use kale. But everybody seems to love spinach, so we're doing it with spinach. And there you have it. Ah, one more thing. Just to make sure that we have a little bit of tartness in there, we're going to use got just about a teaspoon in here of white wine, rice vinegar. And I'm going to sprinkle that in. There it is. Okay. And mix it all up. And you can put this in the refrigerator for about an hour or two and mix it every once in a while and let it blend, let all the flavors blend. Let's see how we did, especially with the oregano in place of the marjoram. The marjoram would definitely give it a little different flavor. But let's see how this tastes. I'm going to go right to the bottom and get some of those juicy orange. Mmm. Interesting combination, yummy flavor. And actually, I put a little bit too much salt in for my taste. So what I'm going to do, I happen to have a nice fresh lemon here. About a quarter of which I put in my water this morning when I first arrived in the kitchen, which is something I recommend nutritionally since I am a certified nutritionist for the last 20, almost 3 years. And one of the things I recommend to all of my clients is when you first wake up in the morning, since your body has been prone and has been cleansing itself and things are laying there waiting to be released, I suggest you take a glass of water and add some lemon juice to it. And even if you're really adventuresome, lemon juice and a little bit of ginger. But this is a little too salty, so I'm going to put a little bit of lemon juice on top of it, just a wee bit. I'm not going to use the whole quarter, but just to add a little more tartness to it. And all we do is take our spinach, which has been ripped into bite-sized pieces. And actually we could spoon it on so we catch the juices as well. Because you want it, this is your dressing. If you wanted to add a little bit of, just a sprinkle, a little tiny drizzle of olive oil to this, I think that would work just as well. And there we have our first salad. Easy, quick, didn't take what, 10 minutes? So that's something that you can fix very easily as I say, when you come home from work, or if you're just preparing things in the kitchen and you don't want to take a lot of time, that's it. Okay, now our next one, is a little more complicated, but not really a lot. I'm going to rinse my spoon simply because we have something a little different. The first thing I'm going to do, this one is the minted cucumber salad. We've got our spinach with orange and radishes, and now for our minted cucumber salad. Just want to mention a few things about choosing cucumbers. I like the English cucumbers. These are the long ones that come in the wrappers, and I like them for two reasons at least. Number one, I did get organic, and number two, they are covered, so I don't have to wade through some cucumbers that everybody else has picked out and gone through. And I do still wash them, but I don't peel. We'll give them a little bit of wash and a little bit of scrub. As you can tell, I've used half of this one, so I'm going to cut it in half. Actually, I'm going to take the other end off. My grandson were here, he would have eaten that. And just cut it in half lengthwise, so we have two sides of the cucumber. Now, basically, these are seedless, but if you wanted to, you could remove the small seeds that are in it. I'm going to leave them in because they don't bother me. And you have a choice of cutting it in halves or in quarters to make it more bite-sized. So that's what I'm going to do. And we're going to cut now about 1/4-inch slices, maybe a little less. They'll vary a little bit. And if you like cucumber, you can keep a piece out to nibble on yourself instead of putting it in with the rest of it, because we have plenty of cucumber. We're going to put that in there and pick up the rest of it. So we have lots of fresh cucumber. Cucumbers are one of my favorite vegetables because, first of all, they're juicy. They're crunchy, and they have lots of minerals and vitamins in them. They also act as a diuretic. So if you find that perhaps you're retaining water and you don't want to, one of the things you can do is have a cucumber, juicy vegetables, add to your water. And this may sound a little counterintuitive, but if you're retaining water, one of the ways to help release it is to drink more water. So, and besides, cucumbers are a fun way to do it because they're really great. Now we're going to take about 1/4 cup of plain Greek yogurt. And actually the yogurt's been sitting in here for a few minutes and some of the water is coming out. It could be partly the way. I'm going to drain it. There we go. Just a little bit more because I want the yogurt as thick as possible to go on my cucumbers. And if you've been in a Greek family or you're familiar with Greek foods, you know that cucumbers and yogurt are two of the wonderful foods that are offered. And sometimes I will use cucumbers and yogurt, and what I'll do is use a cheese slicer to get the really, really thin slices of the cucumber. You hold it vertically and you use the slicer across it. So you get skinny, skinny little slices of cucumber. And you can make something called tzatziki. And you do the same thing with an onion and you got a really yummy, another yummy salad to eat. So I'm mixing in my yogurt with the cucumbers. And we're going to add to that about a teaspoon of olive oil. And we'll just eyeball that one. Not a lot, but just enough to mix through it and to give it a little teeny bit of flavor. I'm using a really good extra virgin olive oil that has good flavor. So that will add to the flavor with the cucumbers as well as the yogurt. And now if you have someone in your family who doesn't like yogurt, what I suggested was to use sour cream. It's a little different flavor. And I prefer frankly, personally, I prefer to use the yogurt. I think it's better for you. It's fermented and it holds its flavor well. And it adds a lot of good zing and tang to whatever you're making. Okay, our next ingredient that's going to go in is fresh mint. And I need about a tablespoon of the fresh mint, so I'm going to do the same thing with my mint leaves. And these are little baby peppermint leaves. You can use spearmint or you can use peppermint. It's up to you. I happen to have these in my garden. So we're going to take the leaves off. Please remove the stems. Okay, and what we're going to do is chop up about a tablespoon, add to it, or more to your taste. If you really, really love the minty flavor, add more. Alrighty. And oh, it smells so good. There's nothing better when you're looking for a lift or actually to settle your tummy than fresh mint. And we had a few people, I did a talk to a group, spoke to a group on Tuesday. And one of the things I suggested for in place of medications for tummy aches or a queasy tummy or just feeling kind of blah is to take fresh mint and do what's known as muddle it, which means you have a muddler or a mortar and a pestle, and you take it and crunch it so that you get all the wonderful oils and juices out of the leaves and make tea. And that's excellent for settling your tummy. So with the cucumbers, with the mint here, you've got a combination of things that are really, really good for your insides, as well as flavorful and pretty to eat. So we're going to take all of that wonderful fresh mint and mix it in there. So we have our cucumbers, our yogurt, a wee bit of olive oil, and fresh mint. And the only things that we can add, I'm going to add a little bit of salt because most of your vegetables, green vegetables, contain sodium. So if you're looking for something that has good sodium and good minerals, your vegetables are usually your best bet. And you know, the mint kind of disappeared into the rest of the mix here. And since I happen to like mint, I'm going to add a little bit more of dried mint. Excuse me. There we go. This happens to be from my garden. I do my own mint. So I'm going to take a little bit, like a pinch of the dried mint, and just crumble it into the rest here. And this could be spearmint or peppermint. I'm not sure which. So we'll have a nice mix if it's not exactly the same, but it's still yummy mint. And mix that up. We have a little more color in there now as well. Okie dokie. Now I'm going to add a little bit of salt, very little, maybe an eighth. Whoop. I love my grinder. About an eighth of a teaspoon. Don't want tons of it in there. And some black pepper. And if you like, you could add some red pepper or cayenne. That will give it a little more zing. But basically, I like the flavor of the cucumbers and the yogurts when they're mixed. So we'll mix all that up. And you can see how easy it is. And I've got it in a bowl that happens to have a cover because theoretically, we should put this in the refrigerator again for an hour or two to let all the flavors blend. However, we have someone coming for lunch very shortly. So what I'm going to do with this is add a little, first I'm going to taste to see how we're doing, and then I might add a little bit of either sugar or monk fruit, which is a sugar substitute that actually tastes great and looks exactly like sugar. Yummy. I don't think we need the sugar, but what the sugar will do sometimes is bring out some more of the flavors in the cucumbers. And so this time I think I'm just going to leave it as it is because it tastes great. The mint comes through and a little bit of the pepper, which is nice. And we also need, I think I put the olive oil in there. I'm not sure. So I'm going to not add any bit more. I'm just going to add a little bit more pepper, which I happen to like. And there we have it. I'm going to put it on a plate, and then we'll do a little garnish. Okay. Now you can serve it, as I said, as a side or as an appetizer, maybe with some crackers or a little bit of pita bread would be absolutely yummy with this. However, the way I want to serve it is as a luncheon dish. So I'm going to take my nice ripe avocado and open that up. Here we go. Ah, perfect. And cut a couple of slices. And then take my spoon. Now you can peel the avocado before you slice it, which is probably a good idea in many cases. And I'm going to cut out the slices of avocado and just add them here. So we'll have a really yummy lunch. It's light, it's flavorful, and it's filling. It's full of good fats in your avocado. It's full of good minerals and lots of yummy things. And actually, I will use lemon juice on this one. Normally, I would use lime juice and a wee bit more salt. Let's see. My towel landed on the floor, excuse me. Add a little tiny bit, just a small sprinkling of salt on the avocado with the lemon juice or lime juice, your choice. And there we have it. That simple. So we have two beautiful, nice, cool salads. And another thing I will do to garnish it, we can use either one. We've got both of our salads here. Let's put them out so you can see them. Here we go. And what I'll do is take my another little orange, and we'll use it for garnish. I like to start peeling with the knife. It makes life easier, saves your fingernails. And so what I'm going to do is take this little guy, in addition to the avocado, and make this a really tasty, yummy, cooling, and refreshing lunch. So we'll make it really pretty because we do eat with our eyes first. And in between the avocado, we're going to put little slices of the mandarin orange. So there you have it. And let's see, we could even add some more to the other salad, or you can just munch on these. So there we have two beautiful salads ready to eat, as I say, for lunch, for an accompaniment to a meal, or even for an appetizer. And I find if you eat your salad first, which a lot of Americans do, I actually prefer my salad at the end of a meal because basically it helps to cleanse the system, especially if you're using something like a vinaigrette dressing. And so nutritionally, I prefer my salads at the end or with my meal. But these are great on their own. They make a great little wonderful small meal. And I wouldn't say snack because I'm trying to get people away from snacking and have them really eating 3 meals so that their insulin doesn't spike and be up all day and produce diabetes. Because unfortunately, in this country, we have an epidemic of diabetes because people eat either too much or too frequently. So actually what I'm recommending is that you eat your small meals, take your choice of what you want. You can add a protein to either one of these, like a piece of chicken. Cold chicken would be very interesting in with the spinach with the dressing there with the oranges and the radishes, or just a slice of chicken or something next to the cucumbers and the avocado. But you've got a little bit of protein in there as well as good fats. So there we have it. And hearty appetite, everybody. If anybody has any questions, one thing I would like to show you, since we are on USA Global TV and radio, and remember we have lots of different shows, is thank you. You can reach me at rickiskitchen.net. There's no apostrophe in there. It's just Ricki's Kitchen, RICKISKITCHEN.net. And you can refer to my book, which has over 30 recipes in it and a lot of hints on what you can do in your kitchen. It has some blank pages for you to write your interpretations. For example, since I didn't use marjoram, I used a different herb. You can make a note of that in this book, and it is on Amazon. So it's yes, you can eat well and eat right. So thank you so much. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the chat. And you can reach me, as I said, at rickiskitchen.net or on I will take phone calls or texts, or even better. And if you put in Ricki's Kitch in your text, it would be 970-618-7607. And here we are again on USA Global TV and radio. And this is Ricki's Kitchen. This is the United Kitchens. And just a note for anybody who watched the show early on, say the first, second, third, fourth, fifth shows several months ago, Simon McDonald is doing well in Scotland, and we may have him back on as a guest one of these days. So thank you all so much, and hearty appetite.